another interesting day, a good day for me. Starting to get a bit of routine into things, druggings and shenanigans as you'd expect. I'll get to those in a second. But really starting to approach how I do things in my environment in ways that are good for me, really good for me. Considering I think this is only the 4th day that I've been out of hospital. So yeah, going pretty well. I pretty much started off the day. I had a good night's sleep, but I pretty much started off the day by cutting all my contacts, apart from official stuff like housing, for example. Let's face it, the way this total institution works, which I've been calling throughout the day, Kath and Nicky's record-breaking longest ever period in known history. Kath and Nicky being two of the architects. It's pretty obvious, the total institution being like the total institution, that anyone I'm going to have anything to do with is going to be consumed with what Irving Goffman apparently called dramaturgy, and with all the goings on with the total institution that it seems consumed by. I'll give you a few examples. When I rang up the medical centre, someone who may have been to do with the medical centre or not had a Black Country or Birmingham accident or something, and really pasted it on with the trial, and it sort of fits with other things as well. Like I'm sort of, this is what's quite strange to me is that the total institution seems to be coming up to me with things like what I mentioned about the coffee shop going way back, that was pitting people, institutions, so on and so forth, against me. It's a really Hollywood B type movie way. The way this one was going on, the way she had a caricatured performance was really bizarre. Later on in the day, I just dealt with her and thought, well, that's the way it is. Later on in the day, I contacted the pharmacy across the road, because there's issues with medication. There were going to be, to see how I interacted with these people. For example, that tends to be some of the demands of some of the requirements of the total institution at times like these, which sort of is yet another example of the needs of the total institution overriding what should be my needs, considering it's only 4 days since I was in the hospital. But anyway, this is the way things are going. And the guy, like I said about one of the pharmacists ages ago, the guy on the phone to the pharmacist was consumed in a 3-minute conversation with saying the word perfect. Must have been about 20 times. And on my list of contacts, I've renamed the Kidderminster Pharmacy as the Perfect Pharmacy. He said it that many times. But anyway, more consumed with that than dealing with like a pharmacist ages ago, like a worker at the pharmacist apparently ages ago, was more consumed yet again with the dramas and all that. The job that needed to be done wasn't done. So I had to get back in touch with the medical centre about the Perfect Pharmacy. But I also did change my signature on my email. From many thanks to no worries. You know what? Yet again, one of the key phrases that people keep repeating, as if it's supposed to, after all this time, still have any meaning left. You know, how many examples of those are there? But anyway, dealt with that. But I think it was, I don't know whether it was when I was talking to the woman who was pacing on a Black Country or Birmingham accent, like there was no tomorrow, or the pharmacist coming out with the word perfect, like there was no tomorrow. But I started getting hot flushes, which I wouldn't be getting. I started getting brain fog that I wouldn't be getting. I started getting sort of impulses or motivations that I wouldn't be getting. You know, surefire indication. The Total Institution, yet again, is drugging me up, and whatever else is going on with however they do this, the subliminal stuff, the subconscious stuff, and all that type of thing. I don't know, but it's just, you know, it fits more their fantasy, whatever their fantasy is, than the reality of what is actually going on in my day. Now I've got this supposed neighbour, I don't know whether she's been busting or not, downstairs, and like I mentioned during another video, didn't I, the other day, she was dressed in the same colours as what she was about 6 months ago, and she went, that way, that way, and then the other day I thought, or was it today or yesterday, she was dressed in black and white, you know, the type of stuff that the people on the ward would put up to saying, what was it, repeating, you know, like there was no tomorrow, good man, bad man all the time. That's the type of thing. And I didn't really pay much attention to that, or if I did, it was to put it in its place. So we get big deal dramas going on. I mean, I have my windows open here, and we had some attempt at Call Britannia going on. Are you jumping with them? So I shut my window because it was going on for absolutely ages. I shut my window, and when I opened it again, what do you know? They'd gone. You know, if they were that pally with each other, surely the woman downstairs was invited her in for a coffee or something. You know, it was going on for that long. But anyway, I shut my window. When I opened it, there weren't a peep from downstairs. You couldn't hear anything. You know, they'd kind of realised. And later on, they got some kids screaming. So I sort of took the piss out of that sort of thing. You know, because this is, yet again, stuff that was going on about 6 months ago that I didn't have the wherewithal at the time to put in its place. You know, as the Total Institution, getting people to do this, that, and bloody everything. Ways where you've just got to stand up to that type of thing. You know, and I pointed out, you know, there were druggings going on around that as well, and I pointed out that this is in no small part being performed for the cameras and the audience sort of thing. You know, there is a measure of that. You know, the institution, the Total Institution does, some of its workers try to say, we are doing things for your benefit sort of thing. But if that was the case, you know, when I know what to do in situations like this, you do need periods where you're just sitting and quietly reflecting on stuff, and yet you know these dramas are going on. For some big deal drama that I'm not interested in. Either way, whether it was positive or negative, you know, like how many times I've got to say, you just fucking get on with it. But that's the way it is. It's sort of proof positive that my approach to deleting all my contacts, you know, whoever I had, you know, there are people I don't even want to exchange the time of day with, whose numbers I deleted. Not as many as maybe I might make out, but you know, it'd only be the same bullshit continually. You know, they are gonna go with the total institution. And that's just the way it is. It's something that I've known, something that I saw for a long, long time. Years ago, that type of thing going on. Like the two people I mentioned having the longest period in known history. I know that, how it just goes on. But you piece together things like the woman with the Black Country or Brummie accent pasting on with the child, and really going for some big deal drama. You look at how someone possibly working at the pharmacy or whatever, repeating about 20 times, was it? I don't know, in a 3-minute phone call, the word perfect, which I took a piss out of in the call, as you should, to put it in its place. And you look at these things and what's been going on with them, because not only did I, and you wouldn't, if you had any sense, you wouldn't pay a blind bit of attention to the dramas going on with these people, and dressing up and performing this, that and everything, what with druggings and all the rest of it. You've got to put that stuff in its place if it's going on. Now, I'm pretty much doing this on my own sort of thing. But it's stuff that I know needs to be done. You do need time of quiet reflection, to just, sort of, is the term decompression. How predictable is this? I've been saying, you want to try doing something original. But anyway, give it time. Setting the scene again. They yet again trying to put me off porn with all these different measures. I did look at a website for a sperm bank, and it mentioned just about everything, but the materials they give blokes to get them in the mood. There was just no mention of it anywhere. But anyway, they're trying to put me off porn again, in ways where they tried similar stunts a while back, and it really fucked people up, except me. And they're doing the same fucking thing again. It's the same fucking type of stunts. And it's just like, come on. But this is the way of the total institution. And Kath and Nicky's all-time record-breaking period. But yeah, get more structure to my day. There are more times, longer times throughout my day, where I'm not under the influence of druggings, and where I am, it doesn't take long for me to click back into place. Always with the knowledge, it's only a matter of time before, like with them downstairs today, me pointing out, well, it's only a matter of time before we get shenanigans down there and props and all sorts of stuff all over. I'm getting rubbish dumped on my it's nothing major, it's just a pack of something, but we're getting props left on my pathway downstairs and so on and so forth. And it's like, it's nothing major, but it's like, it sort of is. And it really is really dated stuff. It really does. Like I've mentioned before, it was breathtaking to me how dated psychiatry was back in 2000. But there is, despite so much of it looking modern, it is still that way. And I don't know whether it's just psychiatry involved in this. Probably not. Almost certainly not. But the total institution does have many flaws. But if you're not telling me it's a wise move as the drugging start, as you'd expect, and as I pointed out before I did this video, by the way, it sort of is like some big deal fucking bullshit drama. I've had dramas with the psychiatric unit that I've avoided, they tried ringing me. I said no, I'd like an email to this institution that is part of the total institution called PALS, right? It's like it's kind of like the architects co-opted psychiatry and so on and so forth for their uses. Now the total institution, over it works, co-ops all these other bodies and all the rest of it to their requirements. In no small part, I'll repeat again, in no small part, people do the idea of being on camera does play a role, and the audience behind that camera does play a role in the way people are seduced into taking part in this type of thing, persuaded into taking part in this type of thing. That's the way it is. It's like it is. It's like try a bit of originality for once, why don't you? But yeah, so very important to stand up to that type of thing, these type of shenanigans, and the druggings whenever possible. It is interesting. I did say before I did this video that so total is this institution that not only do they assign meaning to it, whatever they want, but they sort of drug up the only person who can actually accurately, whenever I want, not that I always do want to, point out, certain things. That's just the way it is. But yeah, so while all that's going on, like I say, there are things that are important to do, really important to do. This is the type of thing I knew was going to happen sooner or later when I came out of that hospital. They did question me, and they did have they did have kittens off the back of me saying, well, I'm a bit worried. I ain't actually worried now, because this is just the way it is. What's the point of worrying about it when these people are only gonna default to all the type of stunts that they pull, which I've pointed out, and on the list I will now probably add, if I do the list again, good man, bad man type stunts. You get cars going past, white cars, black cars, for ages, and then, so for example, if I have something to eat, then you'll have a sequence going off the back of that, and so on and so forth, and it is pretty bizarre for me to witness, but yeah, so there's a big division, it seems to me, between what I'm doing and how I'm getting on with things, and possibly the perception of it. Well, I'd say, yeah, the perception of it, and the plans being made around it. What I'm doing is doing me a lot of good. Today, for long stretches today, I've had a really good day. I've realised that I can't start reading today as much as I want to, at all. In fact, I'm going to have to build myself up over time, maybe a week, maybe longer. There's other stuff I need to brush up on to give structure to my day. It's not going to be quite a while. It's going to be quite a while before I leave the flat and start doing stuff. Maybe popping out somewhere for a coffee or something. I don't know yet. But the chances are, as you look at this stuff, and if you're watching this, as I keep saying, chances are you know a version of what's going on around me, sort of thing. One of those things, interestingly, being the total institution of which psychiatry is a part, does these things contributed to by psychiatry, and then psychiatry stands there and says, we are here to help you, sort of thing. But me pointing these things out of people performing the stunts that they do, with a mind on not only the cameras around us but the audience out there, making them think that they're part of something big, when really I reject reject pretty much all of it, because I know the only real solution to this is just get on with it. But if I can get on with it, but it seems other people can't. That's sort of reminiscent, like I've said before, about one of the architects coming around my house and pulling a load of stunts. I just thought, well, you've lost it, mate. But anyway, things went the way they did, and we had the public stocks an attempt at the public stocks in 2000, and that's just where it goes. But you follow a group of people that are stuck in the Middle Ages. What do you expect? So yeah, and Puritanism as well. You want examples? Anyway, yeah. So, like, the stuff I'm doing, including letting off a bit of steam now and again, it's really doing me good. You have got to stand up to certain things in the interests of your well-being, your welfare, how you go about your day-to-day life. And if people are running around doing bizarre things and controlling just about everything, well, that's what you would expect. That is part of the definition of a total institution, dominating just about everything you see, everything you hear, even to the point where they can drug you up to influence the things you think, the bodily reactions you have, and so on and so forth. No one can dispute that this is a total institution as far as I'm concerned. But like I say, doing things that deal with it effectively, and part of that was getting rid of all of my contacts. At some stage, maybe months, maybe years ahead, I hope it's not too soon, I may bump into some of the people whose contacts I deleted today. May do, may not do. At the moment, I'm not particularly fussed. I've got things that it makes sense to be more interested in right now. Not least because every single name that I deleted on my phone would only, be running around, coming out with the same dramas and so on and so forth that seem to be consuming the total institution. I've mentioned the Brummie or the Black Country Woman. I've mentioned possibly some guy down the pharmacy, possibly not. Saying perfect about 20 times in a 3-minute phone call, and so on. But yeah, that's something that does interest me. When the druggings stop, even though I'm not daft enough to think these people ain't going to pull more stunts at some stage or another. And they, like I've said, there's absolutely nothing new that they come out with, and there's nothing new that they can come out with. It's all a variation of the same stunts. Everything that you see, everything that you hear, and so on and so forth. I'm dealing with it pretty effectively, not in ways that may be of interest and for the requirements of the total institution. But if I'm not acting in my interest, short term, medium term, long term, then whose interests would I be acting in? And what would that say about me? What would that do to me? How would that affect me? And you've got to be pretty focused and methodical and savvy about the type of stuff you're doing. Yet another benefit of not mixing with people I've known, not mixing with people who are on my phone, who would possibly influence how I approach all these things. The local psychiatric unit wanted to get in touch, and I just said no. By the phone, I said they can email me. I want something on paper. It's not really just that. It's that you're telling me, they are part of a total institution. How many more fucking times have I gotta say that? That's the way it is. So yeah, so on day 4, I think, what was it? 14th? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, 4th day. 4th full day that I've been out of the hospital. The signs are looking good. The trends are good. It may not look like it, and my guess is from the druggings I'm having at the moment and what will happen after I do this video, we sort of know the sequences that take place by now. You should know the sequences the type of sequences that take place by now. Yeah, the 4th day has really been a really good one, because I have felt, more and more, even though I'm saying certain things, I felt more and more at home. The time thing, a strange thing with time hasn't really been taking place today so much. The day has just felt like a conventional day at times. Pity that I do have to bear in mind, at any moment, the total institution being what it is, will pull certain stunts, and so on and so forth. That's just the way it is. And it does take me time to get over those druggings. But the state the people within the total institution seem to be in, that really should be for them and not for me. But anyway, so day 4, going well. The stuff that's going on around me it really is starting to me at least, it really does smack of the people behind it having some sort of Hollywood B-movie mentality, the dramaturgy, or whatever you want to call it, the mindset behind it, isn't as advanced, I don't think, as I would have hoped it would be. Those examples I've given are sort of an indication of that, how I'm being positioned, how the attempt is to position me with arguments I'm just not fucking interested in. But there is a good chance that despite me even saying that, me saying things, other things that should point out to people, we're barking up the wrong tree there. These oppositions will quite possibly be attempted. There'll be the attempt to continue and escalate them, maybe, or not. I don't know. But chances are with these people, they'll try to escalate things. That's my guess anyway. But to me, day 4, it's going well. I've had more periods that have gone really well today than haven't gone really well today. That's probably one, because in the end I had a decent night's sleep, and there weren't the level of druggings, even though I'm drugged up at the moment. There weren't the levels of druggings that there have been on other days. And it's possibly because it's been 4 days, and the more days I spend away from that hospital, the hospital that I was at, the more I get into the swing of being in the flat. Another key element, I'm sure, is not watching TV. Like I've said, I don't really think it's a medium for me, like films and music, for example. I'm more at home with, well, I would be with the web, but the web's, well, obviously it's going to be, dominated by the total institution. The books are edited by the total institution, but there's enough in the books I can get something out of. Sometimes there are more interesting things in the books, even when they're edited, than not. I've also got a good AI service as well, which may or may not be operated by the total institution. How crazy does this sound? But it certainly isn't. But yeah, I mean, by now, if I was watching the telly, the meds would be in the bin. I don't particularly want to do that. There's certain things about the meds that I'd want to get rid of. But I see a certain degree. That's only really because of what I think, because of what goes on with not least with the very people who were giving me these meds being part of all of it. But anyway, in that scenario, then there does seem to be a requirement for some sort of chemical measure. Strange, though, isn't it? It's not the way. It's not the way I'd expect things to be, but I suppose the way things went from 96 to 2000, even though they didn't particularly go that way between 2000 and 2016, maybe. That's the way it goes. But yeah. So yeah, one of the things, this will be something to look out for. One of the things you need to do, I need to do, or people like me need to do, is when you come off the back of being in institution like a hospital, a psychiatric ward. When you've been in the situation of being on a psychiatric ward, you do need moments of quiet reflection. To just take the pace down, take the vibe down. This was one of the things I was doing a lot in the hospital. And it did, and eventually, I think keeping myself to myself in that place is what has made, day 4 be as good as it is. That heralds good things for me, I think, except for the shenanigans of the total institution. And we know. I fancy a steak. I'd love to go to the supermarket. Not quite yet, because I'm not physically up to it. But eventually, go and pick up a steak or something, or a salmon or something, and some salad, and have a good nacho. Pop for a coffee or something. But it'll just be all the old stuff again, and it's like, how fucking this is not what I want my life to revolve around, and it's that's just the way it is. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. The stuff I'm doing is doing me well, needs to be done, really needs to be done, in so many ways, I don't know if I can say I look forward to. Well, in a way, I do. I know. I'll close it in a sec. This video in a sec. I know if I'm not looking forward to tomorrow, then that's chemical, right? So I do look forward to the day that's coming. If I'm not, that's chemical. So yeah, that's another little indication of the many indications I can tap into to know when I'm doped up, covertly or not. So yeah. Anyway, I don't bloody know. Crazy days. I'm gonna have to deal with some of these people, yeah. But otherwise, good day today overall.